Thanks for joining us on this edition of update of the City Council meeting, February 16th. Council met at 5:30. Fairly lengthy council meeting last night. First off, we started with public hearings on different street improvement projects. City sent out about 250 letters to residents in the impacted area to notify them of the changes, keeping them informed. They also had informational meetings prior to the City Council meeting, and we covered a lot of the same topics at the City Council meeting that were covered at the informational meetings. I think were held at the library with the residents to answer their individual questions and understanding, but we also held the formal public hearing for City Council area off Main Street and 3rd Avenue in the southwest area. Part of that project has had the potential of impacting the 4th of July parade. We'll schedule around that and make sure that goes off and construction happens to accommodate that area. Another area referred to as the Places area. That area was looked at and approved by council in ordering advertisements for specifications and bids for the project, so council approved that one. Another area over on 6th Street Southeast, 16th Avenue Southeast, they'll be adding curb and gutter and doing some sewer main to address what's called infill and infiltration. What that is water, groundwater getting into our sewer treatment system, and that adds cost to treatment of that when you're processing clean water. That obviously adds cost to the sewer treatment facility. So one of the things we look at is what's called infill and infiltration. Some of those improvements will help address some of that getting into the system unnecessarily. This area is known for high groundwater, and that will also be doing utility work in that area. Over on next project was over 14th Avenue Northeast, 13th Avenue Northeast, and 11th Avenue Northeast, 9th Street Northeast. Again, be doing curb and gutter, replace asphalt. There's one area we'll be doing a mill and overlay. This is in the Crane addition, where we've done some work this last year in that area, so that kind of will conclude work in that area. I think the pastor of Crane Church came and talked about some concerns with the sidewalk by their parking lot. That'll come back to council in a work session to try to look at that specific topic a little more in detail. A lot of folks came for the next public hearing in relation to 4th Drive Southwest. That's over by the Turtle Creek Bridge and 24th Avenue Southwest. A lot of concern about a recreational trail. It's 10-foot recreational trail or sidewalk in that area that will go in. A lot of concern from the residents there. We are getting a federal grant of just over $1 million for that project. I think total of a $1.3 million project there to widen it, take it from a rural section to a city urban street look there and widen it out a bit, get rid of the drainage ditches and put in the curb and gutter. But the 10-foot bike trail is kind of some opposing views on that one. One on the one side, folks that want to see continued work on our trail expansion and future efforts, and combined with what we've done with a lot of trail development in the community, versus those that would have to remove the snow and some of the costs associated with that. Concerns about lower property value and even crime, some of those things, and that the trail ends at County Road 28th, and that's putting people out into a dangerous area. Other folks are there from the bike-friendly efforts that we've done in the community. Steve Keim spoke in favor of the project as it was proposed. So we actually council ended up continuing that to the first meeting in March to meet with the residents and better lay out exactly where the plan will go and how it will impact their properties. A lot of folks commented that it would be taking their property, and of course when we're dealing with a project, we're within the public right-of-way, so we won't technically be taking anybody's property, but we understand it's in a lot of ways people treat the boulevard, that's the right-of-way, as their property. So we're sensitive to that, but want to lay that out a little bit more in detail before council moved that one forward. The other items, we set a public hearing for other street improvements moving forward on March 21st. We also looked at the police department, added a detective. Council considered in the last budget process, and that hire's been moving forward. We needed to make some building modifications and adjust a room at the Justice Center to accommodate the new detective that's added to the complement of the police department. So a small amount of funds, I think we allocated not to exceed $5,000 for the improvement. Council approved that so that there'll be an office space available for that officer. We also took a look at the sanitary sewer fees. That outlines what the connection charges will be and those sorts of things for sewer in various areas in the community. And then also adopting a generic sanitary sewer access charge as well. So basically development pays for the costs associated with sewer extension. We approved an agreement with MnDOT in relation to our airport maintenance and operation agreement so that we get those state funds. We modified a lease, agricultural lease with the city for part of our land. The farming entity changed its official name, so we needed to update that, which we did with V&S Farms. We also had a lot of discussion previously in relation to costs that we could be seeing for our wastewater treatment facility, and with new regulations that have come down from the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, worst case scenario, we're probably looking in the neighborhood of $20 million. We hope that's not the case, but part of our concern with that is that we don't know the cost. So council authorized the city participating in kind of exhausting our legal remedy options with the state on their adopted standards, and then also so we'd be joining a suit from the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities on the state standards as well as the EPA's approval of the state standards. So we'd be challenging it on two fronts. We have met with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, in fact the commissioner himself and related staff, and have had good conversations with them, so we're optimistic that we can come to some agreement as Austin's wastewater treatment plant permit is up for renewal, expired actually this last spring. So we're hopeful that we can come to a conclusion that acknowledges what the cost could be for the city and what our ratepayers could be looking at, but we council moved forward voluntary assessment to participate in that lawsuit on those issues to kind of protect our interests. Council established precincts and voting locations. Ward 1, Precinct 1 has a new location. Last was at Riverland Community and Technical College. That precinct and ward voting place will be moved to City Hall, right here in City Hall in council chambers. So that's a little bit of a change, but went ahead and established all the other polling locations. We did have a recently annexed area that we had established a new precinct for, so we did that as well. Kind of a neat alternative, council also authorized summer ice at the Riverside Arena. We were fortunate to get a grant from the Hormel Foundation to help with Austin Bruins, and one of the things they ended up trying to shift a little bit of gear there and moving forward with trying to do summer ice to see if there's rental opportunities for the use of Riverside Arena into more of the spring, summer months, and so that will move forward. It also allows the Bruins to do their training camp where they look at prospective players for the coming year and tryouts and those sorts of things. So that's kind of neat that they'll be able to host that right here in Austin, and folks can stay in our hotels and visit our restaurants and the like for that event. I think previously that was held over in Wisconsin, so it's nice to bring that home right here to Austin, and it's sort of a demonstration project to see how it goes in a lot of ways. So it's fortunate we were able to do that with the help of the Hormel Foundation. So we also authorized the mayor to sign a letter in support of municipal bond tax exemption. Essentially that helps keep the rates lower for different infrastructure costs for municipalities, and brought forward from the Mark Neibauer of the Austin Utilities. So council approved that, and essentially with the costs that we see for infrastructure, adding 25 to 30% to those costs if we don't have that tax exemption would obviously impact our ability to maintain our infrastructure, our important infrastructure. And then we also authorized refinancing of some HRA bonds, new term for that and the lower refinance rate, so council obviously authorized that as well. Those were really the top issues of the day. If there's any questions that you have, feel free to give me a call, 437-9941. Always happy to hear from you, and it was good to hear a good discussion from folks that participated and came to the council meeting. Feel free to always come and join us at a council meeting, and if we can help you in any other way, please contact us and we'll do our very best to help you. Otherwise, thanks so much for listening.